let's see here. So, robots. Industrial robots. Military robots. Medical robots. Social robots. Domestic robots. The one on the right can actually cook. We've seen them in the movies. We keep seeing them in the labs. And maybe soon enough, we would be able to see them in your homes. Showing you the news, playing with your children, or maybe even talking to the robots of your neighbors. Who knows? Now, they're not intelligent enough to be on par with people. And we actually don't have reasonable laws to accommodate for autonomous robots, you know, responsibility and all. But that just doesn't stop us. So today I'm here to talk about these three. These are good, viable examples of social domestic robots, the ones that could be in your home at some point. They're social, they are domestic, they don't cost a fortune like all the previous examples would. But first, let me ask you a quick question. I will not just let you sit here with those faces. What the hell he's talking about? So, question. Which shape would you fancy a domestic robot to be?
Dinosaur.
I'll give you a few seconds to think, and then we'll actually have a proper vote, because I would actually like to see the results. So I'll give you maybe 3 more seconds. All right.
Zoomorphic in general.
Yeah, let's see shows of hands. Let's not be the screaming minority kind of society, right? So, who fancies an abstract shape to be in their home?
How many votes do we get?
As many as you like. There we go. Fantastic. So, about a third, let's say. Let's say about a third. How about zoomorphic?
I want to change.
Now that's about 4/7, just over.
Are you doing a study right now?
No. I just want to prove a point. That's all. How about humanoid? That's about 1/5. I'm very glad the vote actually ended up this way, because it conforms with my paper. So that's good news. Good news, everyone. So yeah, the point is, abstract is generally preferred. But if you look at the studies, like if you ask people, abstract, zoomorphic, yeah, fun stuff, right? Look at the papers. What do you see? Oh, humanoid robots are the best. So, you know, people might be reading too much science fiction. Yes. Who knows? But the truth is, beyond the very sort of questionable guidance of the uncanny valley, you know, robots gets more human-like. You like them up to the point, and then they kind of become very, very creepy. Beyond that, there isn't that much guidance on how a perfect domestic robot would actually look like. Now, we don't have this guidance, and what I would argue here is to say that domestic robots, with the tech that we have right now, to be cheap enough, affordable enough, and so on, should be on par with furniture, pretty much. And, you know, why that? Why would you want a stable sort of static thing on your table or whatever, and not have it, you know, move around, follow you everywhere, maybe listen to what you have to say? The reason is very simple. Stairs. Right? Now, you might have seen these guys actually climbing stairs. They can do that. But I don't think you'd want to pay that much for this one ability.
Not the one on the right, definitely.
There you go.
I'd take zoomorphic right back.
So this is part of the argument. You know, you might have a mobile robot and raise people's expectations. Oh, this thing can actually move around, blah blah blah. And then they bring it home, and then this happens, right? So, but anyway, why would you want a robot to follow you in the first place? What would it do? And the answer is not actually that much. What a domestic robot is better in doing than a phone or a tablet or a PC, You want a thing that can talk, take Siri or whatever. Now, some might say, oh well, if it can move around, then it's okay. And in fact, 2 of these 3 can move around. Buddy has wheels, Papa has wheels. But then again, let me ask you this: how much extra would you pay for camera on wheels? These are your options. I'll give you a few seconds. We'll actually have a vote. I'll ask him personally. So who thinks nothing extra should be paid for a camera on wheels? A few. Maybe 1/8.
Buy a drone.
Who thinks within £100 is okay to pay to have a camera on wheels? What do people do? About 70%. 101 to 250.
Yeah, put it on top of
A couple of people. 251 to 500. No bets? Yeah, exactly. This is roughly what I'm doing here. Over 500? Nah, nobody wants to pay that much. And that is expected, but if you look at the actual prices, these things cost over 500 for a functionality arguably only slightly over your phone. So what's the actual point? Now, I don't know what the actual marketers think when they give us ads, about these fantastic futures with the robots whose, functions are mediocre at best. But here is my guess. You're actually buying a very expensive, hackable, hearing and listening marketing device into your home. Every one of them would have cameras, probably many cameras, microphones, supposedly to listen to you and do, what you ask them to do, but who knows. The point is, if you go to the websites of the developers, read their blogs, one thing they're notoriously vague about is the rights of the data that is produced by these machines. Like, close to no information about any of this stuff. They may say, oh, we are keeping your data in the cloud on a protected server, but who owns this? Is it my data because I was in the actual the recording doing this stuff, or is it their data because they have sold me the robot and because it's their cloud? So all of these guys record stuff at the very least. Jibo only audio, the other 2 do videos too. So would you want something like this in your home? Sort of starts becoming questionable at this point. Functionality, meh. Privacy, why would you, right? So then, what about this stuff? Children love this stuff, I heard. But, they're not responsible adults who actually have the legal right over, the full breadth of their data and so on. And then again, if we let children and ourselves to, play and interact with these machines for a good while, then what actually comes of us? So let me ask you a third question here. These are the 2 statements, and I want to know with which one you agree. So one says, I will let robots actively teach my children, and the other is the opposite. I will not let robots actively teach my children. I'll give you.
The robot, or for what purposes? Sorry.
No.
I just think that this is quite a big question that it's quite difficult to make a real value judgment on, because who's programmed the robot, what it teaches, like there's a lot of contextual information that's quite important before.
If I built a
personally
robot,
make a
it'd be pretty
judgment.
cool.
Good point. But let's just have a sort of general value assessment here. In principle, is it okay or is it not? So who thinks it is fine to let the robots teach children? Okay, about half. Who thinks that it's not okay? No, not actually necessary. You know, some people just decide to abstain and that's all. So now, on the one hand, it is fantastic to let children interact with the machines, because then they can be entertained, educated perhaps, and you as a parent actually have more time to do your own stuff. I mean, I had twin brothers, and I was 15 when they were born, and it was pretty awful, to be honest. And as they grow, they demand more and more of your attention, pretty exponentially. So, you know, good stuff. You know, let them have their fun. On the other hand, you know, if they interact extensively with these kinds of machines, what kind of social values are they learning? You hit a person in the face, you would get some kind of reaction. You hit a robot in the face, it will just ignore it. So negative feedback is very much lacking in robots, both in the lab and commercially. So maybe it is not that good actually to buy this kind of machine even for your child to play, because you know who knows what they might learn from it. Now you might say, oh well, okay, if they are actually all so bad, let's just not care about them, right? Let's just not buy them and that's it. But then you might start thinking about, all right, but what about the elderly? What about people who are generally excluded from participating in their communities? What about people who come to new places and are just too shy to interact with the real people? So we've touched on good few points there. From my study, these are essentially the key takeaways. Abstract shape wins by far. If you have a dinosaur, cool too. Jump in connectivity, because all of these are cloud-based, and we see more and more devices, not just robots, being exclusively cloud-based, and a thing that you hold in your hand is just a glorified microphone, pretty much. Now, a jump in connectivity, I'd argue, requires at least a comparable jump in security, including educating the user as to what they are buying into, who the data belongs to, what kind of data is collected, how is it processed. And probably the most essential point for this kind of robots is the unique utility versus copycatting. A robot can do most of the things your smartphone can do, but why would you actually change? You know how a smartphone works. It's it's relatively quick, relatively easy, and so on. So we are still to see a unique utility in the market for these kinds of machines. Otherwise, get some cheap wheels, strap your tablet on top of it, done. Anyway, what's next for me is I got a few Echo Dots, and I am giving these to people and see what they think about these, how they feel about them. So, if I even slightly piqued your interest, keep in touch. I'm one of the very few people in academia who actually replies to their email pretty damn quickly. I don't know what all the other people are doing with their email routine, but this is.
You are a robot.
Yeah, well, this is a fair point, right? So yeah, I'll let you know when the results of this study and the next one are published. And thank you very much for your time. You can